Greetings, greetings, greetings. My name is Ramhotep L. I'll be your master of ceremony, your host, broadcasting on behalf of the number 13 signs astrology.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. So how's everybody's shift coming? How is everybody's new age coming? I say that because we're in the new age, people. We're in a new time. However, we have some people that's their minds are stuck in the old time, and we don't want to end the things in the old time so that we can make room for the things coming in this new time, in this new dispensation and eon of time that we're in. And that's why we have to have a full blood moon. See, nature already pre-programmed things into the course that we're on, into the journey that we're on. See, nature has already pre-programmed these things because nature already knew how we were going to react to the shift and how people was going to be neglecting the new energy and how people were going to be stubborn and wanting to stay in the old energy and wanting to stay in the past. So that's why we have to have a full blood moon, because people don't want to let go. And all these things have been written. See, the things that happen in the universe are nothing but markers and nothing but signs as to what's going to happen here on Earth. As above, so below. The moon has a very important connection to the Earth and to the creatures of the Earth. The moon is the most important planet. Well, let's say one of the most important planets when it comes to astrology. The moon is very key, very much connected to us. The moon connects to us via our emotional body. And on a physical level, it connects to us through the waters that make up our very essence and our very biological makeup. So your body is composed of 75 to 90% water, which means that when the moon is full, it makes the water stand up, because the moon pulls on the tides and the currents of the water, so it could cause the water to look like it's standing up. So if you observing a full moon and you're over the ocean during a particular time, or you're watching the full moon via the ocean that's over the ocean, you're going to notice that the water is more active during a full moon versus if you go there during a new moon. Why is this? This is because of the fact that it pulls on the tides of the waters based on magnetism. What people don't calculate is that your body is made up of water. So if the moon is pulling on the tides of the waters in your body, the same process is happening. Your body is like a mini ocean. Your body is more water than earth. You're a water being. And this is a water sun that we're in. Remember I was telling you about the new sun cycle that we're in? Well, this sun cycle is based upon and predicated upon water coming out of ether. So it's a mixture of ether and water in reference to this new cycle. So the moon, water, and that whole phenomenon becomes very important when you study cycles and ages and things of that nature. So the moon, when it pulls on your waters, your brain is actually composed of 90% water. When you talk about so-called God sitting on a throne, when they say God sits on a throne in the book of Revelations, that throne is your brain, is your mind. Or the brain is your throne, and the mind is God. So God sits on a throne, on the mind, and the throne is covered, sits over water, according to the scripture. So what that means is that you are sitting, your mind or your brain is sitting over water. Very important. So your ability to rule time and your ability to be a king and a ruler, because a king or a ruler or a queen sits on a throne, is based upon your ability to control the tides of the waters. So water becomes very key in understanding this topic. Now you get into understanding how the connection that water has with the human body. Water makes you very emotional. It ties into your emotional state. So when the moon is full, it makes you more emotional. But if you understand what emotions are, you can benefit from this energy. It actually gives you more chi. This is why people go out and during a full moon and they go out and they have wild sex. And people are so-called horny during a full moon. That's one of the first symptoms of a full moon. People feel like they're horny, but then you have another symptom of a lunatic. Somebody that goes out and does crazy things during a full moon. Usually you turn on the news during the full moon, more murders happen. Psychologists watch the full moon because they know the psyche and the mind changes under the effects of a full moon. But what makes this moon interesting, we always have full moons, but this is what you call a lunar eclipse. And we're having what's called a blood moon. And really, it's actually, they say it's a hunter's moon, really. We don't know if it's going to be a blood moon because it depends on the rays and the colors that are emitted from the moon. The moon may turn red or it may stay the same during this time. We don't really know if it's going to be a blood moon. It's only going to be a blood moon if the moon turns. And if it turns into a blood moon, this is going to let us know how this cycle is going to play out because we have to go through 4 of these. They call it a tetrad. We have to go through 4 of these. So what that means is that we're going through another shift, people. In a couple of days, welcome to the new shift. So it's something that you definitely need to reflect on in relationship to that. Because you have to ask yourself, are you ready for the water? Because blood, even when you talk about blood, they're calling it a blood moon. Blood is composed of water, mostly. It takes a lot of water to make up blood. So why is this important? This is important because of the metaphysical meanings that water has. So water is connected to our reality based upon things that connect with that element are going to be affected during a full moon and during a time like this. So normally during this time when we have 4 full moons, people get very doom and gloomish. They get very doom and gloomish during this time, and they feel as though some prophecy is fitting to get fulfilled on a negative level. This is a very ominous moon during this particular season, during this time. A lot of people are not feeling like this is going to have a positive effect. And I'm not saying it's going to have a positive or negative effect. I'm just telling you what's going to probably happen. Most likely. So we have a lunar eclipse. It creates a metaphysical effect in and of itself, whether it's a blood moon or not. And we have that lunar eclipse. It's going to put a shadow over the moon. So we don't know if the moon is going to disappear or turn what's called black based upon the way the light is reflected, or we don't know if it's going to turn red into a blood moon. So it creates a shadow over the earth, and during a lunar eclipse, you're able to see thousands of, if you're watching a lunar eclipse from outer space, you will be able to see thousands of sunrises and sunsets take place at once. The lunar eclipse, what happens is that the moon aligns with the earth and the sun, and the light is blocked. The earth blocks the light from getting and hitting the moon. So this is why the moon will turn red for that period of time. So it creates a shadow. So this is going to cause what? Your shadow self to be unleashed. This is why people are scared of it. Because it's going to cause your dark nature to be unleashed. It's going to put a shadow over your emotional nature, which is basically based upon your lunar nature. So this can cause people to become very dark, very so-called disagreeable. It's not really they become dark with knowledge, they become dark in ignorance. Because when you are in a dark room, you can't see. So what do? You make stupid decisions. You start bumping into walls because you can't see with the naked eye. So this is what happens. People become stupid during lunar eclipses, and this energy will play out for the rest of this month. People are going to make a lot of bad decisions because they don't have an open third eye. So they rely on the naked eye to see into reality. If you had an open third eye, this is how blind people are able to still see. Blind people can see. Shout out to my blind people out there. You're like, oh, you crazy. See, you always, every time, it's always something new. Blind people can't motherfucking see, man. What are you talking about? Blind people can see. They see through their mind's eye, which is called your third eye. So they see very clearly through it, though. Their vision there is clear because they're not blinded by this reality. This reality is blinding you, is blinding your third eye. This artificial light. This decay. Light is decay. Or especially artificial light. It decays the body. So this is blinding you. And blind people, they're able to see with the mind's eye. So you have to open up your third eye. And you can't rely on your regular vision or your mundane vision to guide you through this time that we're going in. Because even though the lunar eclipse will be over for a couple of weeks, the energy and effects, we're going to have another one in October. And each time we go through one, wherever you're left at once the energies and effects of the lunar eclipse are done, you're going to be in that reality until the next one comes. So the next one is in October. So whatever happens during this eclipse for the rest of this month for you, it's going to kind of set your reality for the next 6 months based upon this shift that we're going into. Because this has to happen. See, when you study this, this happened back in 2003 and 2004 was the last time that we had 4 moons like this. And a lot of things transpired during that particular time. I in my mind have a few events, a timeline of events in my mind, but I'm not going to go into those events on this particular episode because I don't want to make it too long. But a lot of things changed and a lot of ETs did show up. The last time when we had this phase, a lot of ETs came through. This is what really, this last time really prepared us for this starseed movement or this so-called new age movement that we're experiencing, or this shift. See, this was the preparation time back in 2003 and 2004. So a lot of things played out the last time that took place. And it put the world into a new energy. After that point, the world never really totally went back to the way it was prior to 2003 because of some things that played out. That particular time was marking the beginning of the end of the world. But this new phase of 4 blood moons or 4 eclipses that many people have written books on that's getting ready to come up, this is going to take us into the beginning of the new times. See, the one before this one ended things. And this one had to come because even though we're in the beginning of a new time, it still has, we have more things from the old cycle to end. So notice that the full moon is happening. I'm going to go into a couple details about it, and then we'll shut down for this episode and this talk. But notice that the full moon is happening on April the 15th, around the nighttime. This is a very popular date because this is the tax time. This is the tax deadline. Why is this important? Why is astrology linked into a tax deadline? Why is a major astrological event happening during a tax deadline? Why does April the 15th, when you add it up, why does that add up to 8? Why is 8 the number of banking and big money and taxes and shared monies and joint monies? This is happening because the problem that we're having on the planet right now, that is the thing that's really stopping us from embracing the new energy, is money. And it's not the money, it's the energy associated with the money. See, we can't fund new programs. We can't bring in new energy. We can't get off the grid and get off the electrical grid, and we can't make solar powered vehicles and solar powered trains until we first get out of debt. That's right, we have to get out of debt. So the reason why this moon is happening under a financial time is because debt is holding the planet back. See, what happened was that the illusion of capitalism which is a shadow illusion, has blinded our generation and generations that even came before us. And we got to a point where we thought that economies and economics was based on things going up. Never calculating that when things go up, this causes inflation. So when things go up in your market, this causes your dollar and the value of your dollar. You have to realize what's happening is that your dollar, the stock of your dollar is going down. Your dollar is based upon a stock. There's nothing backing it. So your dollar is being traded on the stock market. And you're like, well, this is a moon video. Why are you talking about money, Ram Hotep? Because the moon is about to become lunar on the tax deadline. And you've watched things that happen during the tax deadline. That's when a lot of sacrifices happen. Why? Because people have to come up with monies to pay back monies that they stole from their dead ancestors. That's right. You got people that was living off their dead ancestors and stealing from them. You say, well, how can you steal from a dead man? You can't do that. It's your money. You inherited it, so why would you steal it? But yeah, you may have inherited it, but you inherited so much that you bankrupt a dead man. And you can't do that in this particular politics, in this particular economy we're in. Because why? Because a lot of dead men and a lot of names of dead men linked to land. So when you take all the money from a dead man, you rob the land. See, money is only printed predicated upon resources backing it. So what happened is that when people that are owing taxes during this phase, and this even ties into what the Obamacare is really about, is based upon people taking from their dead ancestors. And what happened was that, and people aren't going to want to hear this and they hate my videos, but I speak the real fucking truth because I'm not scared. You had a lot of elder people that are in the baby boomer generation that are responsible for creating a shitload of debt. And the Indigos, we are a different breed of people because we come from Atlantis. So we want to live in an economy that offers free energy. We really don't necessarily like dealing with the concept of money, but it's going to have to take someone that's astute when it comes to understanding money to get us out of this situation so that we can shift off of depending on money. But we still have to have an understanding of it in order to go to the next level. And the thing is with baby boomers is they have baby boomers, they are very responsible for constructing this matrix the way it is right now. So they have a very keen understanding and keen sense when it comes to understanding money and economics. And they understand the rules of the matrix and how things work. So therefore they're really great at cheating. So you have to be careful. I'm not saying don't honor your elders, because you always have to honor your elders. They've done a lot. They taught us a lot. They brought us here. Their dissatisfaction is what called the Indigos in to change things. See, the baby boomers, you guys were dissatisfied with the way the world was. See, the ETs came to the baby boomers first. The Greys started coming to you guys first. So you guys were dissatisfied with the way things are going. And the reptilians came to you guys too. And as well as the Pleiadians, the tall white blondes, came to you guys as well. And you guys were very dissatisfied. So you kicked off the Starseed movement even before you started birthing us Indigos. So when you birthed us Indigos, you were birthing a very radical group of individuals that some of us have not been here since Atlantis. And we didn't have to worry about money. We were scientists during that time. So any problems that we had, our money was this back then. There was no bank to go to unless it was a free energy bank. But you didn't go to the bank to get money. You had a job, and your job was basically predicated upon it added to the gross national product of the nation that you were a part of. So when you worked, you could almost say, like, it definitely wasn't slavery because you did something that you loved to do, but the way you lived and your allotment, like where you, because I mean, basically when you worked for a company, they put you up. You didn't have to worry about paying for your rent or finding a place to live. Everything was basically, when you worked for a company, they probably put you up for shelter and everything. So you didn't have to really worry about anything. And whatever your job was would be based upon how much money or how much energy you put towards the global economy. That's how it worked in Atlantis. So you really didn't have to worry about money because everything was calculated based upon the job. So even though some jobs may yield more energy, more output, everybody was equal because nobody had to worry about money. So nobody looked really too much different. You know, a scientist or somebody that was responsible for constructing a project versus maintaining it may live a little bit better. That's all it was. They had access to more energy. See, back then, living better was not a flat screen TV and getting a chance to sit down and eat popcorn and Pringles. But living better back then was your ability to receive energy. So say for instance a person that was a doctor, they may live in a crystal room filled with crystals. So that energy is better. They may live on top of a mound. A lot of the pyramids were built on portals, so they may live over portals. They may get a chance to have access to more information, more beings based upon where they live. This still happens to this day. You just don't know it because the rich part of town, usually the part of town back in the day that the Native American chiefs would live in. Like in Cincinnati, Ohio, shout out to my fellows from Cincinnati, Ohio, sisters and brothers out there. They have a town called Indian Hill. And Indian Hill is where the rich folks live at. But it's called Indian Hill because at one point, this is where the best energy came through at from Cincinnati. And it's like that usually like in Manhattan. Manhattan was owned by the Native Americans, by the Cherokees. Now you have a lot of rich people that live there now, but it was always a portal or a grid there. So the energy was better there. And that's where the professionals live because they understood energy. Whereas, people that didn't have as much may live outside of the portal or around the portal. Population was different. There weren't as many people on the planet. Population was smaller back then. People weren't having sex all willy-nilly and continuing to birth children. Nothing wrong with repopulating. I mean, I'm all for having sex, so I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but I'm just saying back then that's not how things were. So we come from that particular phase. That's the indigos, and what happened was that the baby boomers kind of like messed the planet up financially by the time we got here. So when you talk about the stimulus plan and companies getting bailed out, see, all of that money came from somewhere when you understand economics. I can tell you where it came from, but I won't do it here. But the tax thing and the problem with the taxes and the reason why people are going crazy and the Obamacare and all of this stuff that we're going through and the debt that the Tea Party keeps talking about, we need to balance the debt and the trillions of dollars that we owe and all of this stuff that some people are saying we shouldn't even pay back. We should just go to war and kill off the debt holders, whatever you think. The bottom line is that's what this blood moon and these series of blood moons is going to phase out. I guarantee you by the time these blood moons are over, this problem will be fixed. The question is, will you be a part of the new energy? See, all of your radical and crazy ideas are not going to work in this energy. You have to get out of debt on your own. You have to fix your personal problems. Everyone is going to be responsible for their personal problems. Nobody is going to be able to look towards the next man or woman to cover for them. That's what this shift is about. See, when the world ended, a lot of people hid. See, the world ended back in December 23rd, 2013. I'm sorry, 2012. And when that happened, some people disappeared. Some people paid the piper, and they basically owned up to what they were responsible for. But then a lot of people hid, and